Residents in person and online voiced their opinions of the proposed zoning for the Village Center Overlay District to help make Newton's villages more vibrant. The Zoning and Planning Committee held a public hearing regarding the proposed zoning for the Village Center Overlay District. This is in addition to the zoning that is currently in place. The goal of the zoning regulations is to help create more vibrant village centers and generate mixed uses, housing, and business opportunities. The majority of residents spoke in favor of implementing the VCOD.
Because I personally believe it will be a benefit to small businesses in my neighborhood. The places that my family and I most like to frequent in our village. These are businesses for ice cream, burgers, gifts, toys, fresh bread. They all need customers and foot traffic going through their doors to succeed and thrive. In my view, the proposed zoning overlay would be building a base for those necessary customers.
As we've seen in Newtonville, mixed-use development, when put in the right locations, can lead to great things. Restaurants continue to open up along Washington Street and on Walnut. Businesses are moving in. The activity happening there, thanks to the increase in foot traffic, has brought in more business. And most importantly, this kind of development makes it possible for more people to do more trips without their car. They can get dinner, see friends, pick up groceries, get their hair cut, all by bike, foot, scooter, whatever, just not necessarily a car.
My concerns about this are both to keep that a vibrant and interesting area that draws people to it. And I really think that your plan will do that. I'm also very concerned with climate, and the idea of having more housing near to transportation is just so important for all of us going into the future.
Some residents also raised concerns about the proposed Village Center Overlay Districts.
Our paradigm has changed. I think you are using 19th century principles to solve the 21st century problems. The world accepts that there is a serious climate problem, yet your plan to convert our villages into modern heat sinks does not coincide with this concern. The MBTA is a failing transportation system, yet you plan to add thousands of new housing units along the Green Line with the unrealistic expectation that people will give up their automobiles and use the T. The plan to build tenements with 4,000 square foot building footprint on land with no lot size, no FAR, no open space requirements, no green grass for children's play areas is not a plan for affordable housing. It's a plan for tomorrow's slums.
Both Newton Presbyterian Church and Elliott Church are, under this proposal, earmarked as MRT. And if you read the New York Times today, you would have seen a story about a congregation that was seeking to sell its historic, beautiful church building to capitalize on the profit of doing so, and neighbors trying in vain to push back against that. These churches are beautiful, historic landmarks, and what this proposal does under its current form is essentially incentivizes these churches to look to see their development by making it easier for Church Street in Newton to become Condo Street.
But affordable housing is a controversial thing. I think I have an idea for how we could build support for affordable housing in general so that this is just the beginning. If it's not simply chosen by lottery and it's oversubscribed, but if we earmark these units for civil servants who work here, especially our teachers, our police, our firefighters, most of our teachers can't afford to live here, and our kids know that. And I think if the affordable housing was for them, you would build a lot of support for let's have for affordable housing, let's have more of that. It wouldn't seem like who are these people in these units.
Waiving parking requirements will have an adverse impact on residential streets adjacent to the overlay districts. Also, increased vehicle traffic associated with the increased density and retail businesses will exacerbate congestion in already overloaded village centers, such as the intersection of Chestnut Street and Washington Street in West Newton.
To make villages less accessible, despite that being the purpose of this proposal, even now with Trio and with Austin Street, if you want to go do your grocery shopping, there's no place to park at Star Market because all the little shops and things have taken up all the parking. And the same is true at CVS. If you're coming home from work or other errands, you go back there to park, there's nowhere to park. So certainly parking requirements would have to be of importance and not assuming that everybody's going to ride their bike.
Some of those questions were answered after the public hearing closed.
Parking came up a number of times, and I think some members did mention this, but we are seeing people living with less than 1 car per unit in recent multifamily development. So people may not be taking transit for every single trip, but they are able to live with fewer cars, which is the goal. I heard concern about churches being torn down due to the rezoning. So this is something we have been discussing and thinking about a good bit, as we know many churches, congregations have been dwindling, and they are looking for options. Under our current zoning, churches could redevelop. There's nothing stopping that. However, under the new zoning, in general, what's being proposed for those sites is less than what's already there. So many churches are already larger than what the new zoning would allow. The advantage to the zoning for churches is that it gives more flexibility for reuse of those spaces, whether it's for the entire building or...
I think a couple people, again, mentioned the historic preservation of either landmark or district properties. And just to say again, we're not including any districts, but properties that are significant within our village centers either are landmarked or are worthy of that. So this applies to the churches also. Could you speak to that?
Correct. So we did exclude anything in a local historic district, and anything that is landmarked will have to go through the current process. For any changes to a building that is landmarked must be approved by the Newton Historical Commission. Demolition delay still applies. So anyone looking to demolish a portion or all of a building will trigger demolition delay review with the Newton Historical Commission, which often puts on a 12 to 18-month delay, during which time significant buildings can and often do get nominated as landmarks. Buildings on the National Register still will need historic review for character-defining changes. So the historic preservation protections we have in place today will continue to exist. One other thing is there was mention of losing open space. I think someone particularly mentioned losing open space in Newton Center. We're not including any city-owned properties. No parks, no city-owned parcels are included as part of this proposal. This is purely private property and will not remove any existing open spaces or parks.
Councilor Leary?
One member of the public spoke about earmarking affordable housing units for civil servants and teachers and such. And I just wanted to clarify, I understand the spirit of that, but I believe that's not legal under fair housing law. So I just wanted to make that statement.
Thank you. Ms. Kyra, can you speak to that issue for us?
Yeah, I believe that's correct. We do have a local preference of, I believe, 25%, which does give some preference to those who currently live or work or go to school in Newton. But we do not earmark any affordable housing units outside of that.
The Zoning and Planning Committee are accepting public input throughout the summer months. More information is available online. Jen Adams, Newton News, Newton Center.